Welcome to Issues That Matter. I'm Cynthia Pooler, and my guest today is Diane Sare, and she's running for the United States Senate in New York State. And I'll let you take over and talk about, the importance of your candidacy.
Well, thank you very much, Cynthia. What prompted this discussion was your question earlier, which is whether I think that we are really on the brink of a nuclear war.
Right.
And I said, yes. I mean, I hope not, but I think the measure of that is the delusional arrogance of the American administration, our British collaborators, or maybe they're our controllers, and NATO, in response now to the new phase where there are referenda occurring, as everyone watching knows, and Scott Ritter has informed people so well about the situation in Lugansk, Donetsk, and the regions of Zaporizhia
Hmm.
and Kherson. And I think it's very likely that in all of these places, they're going to vote to join the Russian Federation. Why would you want to stay in a country that's been bombing you for the last 8 years? In the case of the Donbass republics, newly declared republics. When that happens, however, it changes the war. It means that if the US is supplying weapons to the Ukrainian Nazi infested army, and they are shelling and killing people in Donetsk or in Zaporizhia or in Kherson, it means that US weapons are now killing people in Russia, that we have hostilities explicitly against Russia. That changes everything. And what President Putin has said over and over, and he warned, remember, in December, with many attempts to get a treaty, that there were certain red lines: Ukraine joining NATO, Ukraine getting a nuclear weapon, Ukraine launching ethnic cleansing of the Russian speaking population in the East, that all of these would be seen as something to which Russia must respond. And therefore, why not avoid this by signing certain agreements, which the West refused? And they said, we're not giving you the time of day. In effect, Putin is bluffing. Well, Putin clearly wasn't bluffing. And when the NATO trained and backed and MI6 directed Ukrainian army prepared for a massive onslaught in the Donbass, they dropped 1,600 shells on Donetsk in one day. Russia decided to launch its special military operation. He was not bluffing. And I'm saying that because any idiot who says that Putin is bluffing right now is out of their mind. But my concern is for, I should say, the sanity or clarity of thinking in the West. If they don't come to their senses, I mean, this is not in the Cuban Missile Crisis. We had Kennedy. You had a president who recognized that nuclear war was unwinnable and should never be fought, as I think Reagan said. So Kennedy did everything he could to develop a back channel to come up with a negotiated way of avoiding a nuclear confrontation. We don't have a Kennedy in the White House. We have a president who it's not clear if he even knows where he is much of the time. And we have some advisors who seem hell-bent on using their nuclear weapons for some reason, or who think there's such a thing as a tactical nuclear war, or who are running around saying Putin is bluffing. So I think it is indeed very dangerous. And part of the way you know the danger is by the treatment of my candidacy, because I have been trying to raise this issue as a candidate for US Senate. And you're right, you pointed out that independent candidates or candidates of minor parties like the Libertarian Party or the Green Party or the Serve America Party don't get much coverage. And in fact, in the state of New York, they did everything they could to abolish all those parties by making the requirement so onerous that people could not get 45,000 signatures in 6 weeks for a
Right.
statewide race. But I did that. So, by the standards of the people who sought to silence all the minor parties, My campaign has demonstrated that I am not what they call a frivolous candidate because somehow I managed to turn in 66,000 signatures in 6 weeks. But nonetheless, Schumer refuses to debate me or the Republican nominee. And he, in fact, made a big show of giving $10 million from his campaign war chest to other Democratic candidates around the state, basically as if to say, I'm not worried at all. I'm going for a coronation. There's not going to be an election. There will be no debate. I don't have to answer to the voters of the state of New York who wanted to put this person on the ballot. And I'm saying that the censorship of my candidacy in specific, because I'm making nuclear war the number one issue of this campaign, indicates the danger of the war, that they don't want to discuss it. They don't want people allowed to ask questions.
Wow. So, Diane, I think you said it all. What do you think?
I hope it's clear. I think it's clear. I would urge people to visit my campaign website, sareforsenate.com, and sign up. We're planning some actions, but given that I am on this Ukrainian hit list, along with Scott Ritter and other outspoken truth tellers, I don't want to say everything about everything where I'm going to be publicly. Before the fact. So people should sign up and get my emails and join me. But we have to break this. Breaking my campaign into the open in the state of New York would be a major step toward stopping nuclear war because it would force it into the light of day, and the Congress and others would be forced to admit, and they would see it with their own eyes, that the American people overwhelmingly do not want this war.
When I had asked Scott Ritter how close we are to a nuclear holocaust, he said 1 second to midnight. Would you concur?
Yes.
Wow. And on that note, we'll leave it at that, and hopefully we'll be talking again soon. So this is Issues That Matter. I'm Cynthia Pooler. I've been talking to Diane Sare, who's the Senate candidate for U.S. Senate in New York State. And if you like this show, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you, Diane, and thank you everybody for listening. Have a great day.